How special is this?
Good to be here.
It's good to be here, here and there, everywhere. What an honor it is to speak to you, Adrian Fisher. I have had the absolute honor of being on this planet and being on social media and finding you and amongst all others, really, really loving and enjoying not only what you're bringing to the world at large through your beautifully graceful tone and channeling, but I think through what you're doing with Awakened World, and in my opinion, leading the way in many ways, as many are, because we're all coming online. We're like, all right, it's
Yeah,
going.
it's a party. There's more.
It's
There's a
a
lot more.
party. It
Yeah.
Yeah, fiesta, baby. So, everyone out there, I'm Sean Smith. I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, and this is Adrian Fisher, an amazing human being, and we're going to unwrap who this being is, this man is, and um, Adrian. About a week ago, we had a face to face before just to set up this whole kind of exchange, podcast, chat, whatever you want to call it, and we covered a whole lot of different topics, and we had a real gas. So I actually just wanted to, and we'll get there. I just wanted to start with what I feel so inspired by right now, and that is not only your channeling, but what you're doing around channeling and leading people in how to channel themselves with the awakened world.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Mm,
So,
I'd hope
you know,
so.
there's a there's there's a lot to talk about. Big topic, but I've been channeling for maybe 4 years now. I had a very fast awakening. Um, I had an ET contact experience in the middle of the day. I was a very normal person before, tech CEO, running tech companies, and then I had this experience. And then what I thought was ETs turned out to be everything, ETs and then angels, and then there's God, and there's all this stuff. And it took me years to sort of integrate it, and then I had this really clear connection with my guides and began to channel for myself, basically. Um, and so over the years, that's like developed and developed and developed. And one of the downloads that I had been getting is that this is a moment of confusion in the world. It's a moment of change. Um, it's a huge shift that's sort of happening. It's the awakening of consciousness and all these things. And, there's in scriptures and different religions, there's sort of hints to this time, like spirit will be poured on the earth. And, there's going to be like prophets, false and real ones, and all these. It's like, it's
Man is
very
gonna fall
confusing,
from
right?
heaven.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's all the stuff's going to happen basically. There's this moment, and I believe that we are in it. And so through my time of trying to connect with my own guides and learning how to do this for myself, um, I was sort of giving this framework, and these my guides told me, at during this time it's going to get so confusing everywhere, that you can't really believe anybody else besides yourself. And spirit's so close at this moment in time, like the spiritual realm and the material realm are basically blending. Um, that you don't almost need a guru, or you don't need to like study all this different stuff. You just really need to know how to meditate and to connect, to your own guidance team. And once you have that, you have your own guides, you have your own higher self, you have God, this central point, this connection, to all of creation, and that's how you can like, really accelerate your spiritual path. You can learn everything you need to learn just that way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I noticed was is there was like not a lot of stuff about channeling that was organized. There's like maybe a class over there. There's a school you can go to. Maybe there's certain things, but I wanted to make something that was really really good and free, so that people could use it and have their own experience. Because what I think, there's a difference between believing and knowing, you know, and I think we're at the
Mm-hmm.
the time where it's time to know. Instead of
mm,
believing in God, why don't you know God? You know,
mm.
believe in
I
angels,
know.
know them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Believe in the devil, but you might meet him. You know, like it's time to figure it
Abraham,
out.
Abraham says there's no devil. So I'm like, yeah,
I don't know, but you know,
because yes, yes, this
they're
time,
negative
this
beings. There's
time
positive.
is a special time.
Yeah. So,
100%, 100%.
and I think we're ready to, for the people who are truly looking, they're ready to find out. They're ready
Mm,
to find out that it's everything. It's all there.
mm, mm,
It's all about you at the end of the day. Um,
mm,
and realizing that you're one with all of it. The light and the dark, the whole thing. For me,
mm,
I see the whole thing, and then I'm like, I like to stay more on the light side when I can.
mm.
Um, but I
That's our
realize
choice.
that it's all there. It's
Yeah,
all me. It's all creation. you know.
yeah.
And so,
I can I can look
uh,
at all these different things. I can look at the whole, but I get to choose. We all get to choose and turn away from what we don't want to see.
exactly. So
Angie,
everything,
Angie, yeah,
it's what you prefer.
go.
You
Mm,
know. And I think the opportunity is to have awareness, because when you're not aware, when you're sort of asleep, um, doesn't make you a bad person. But if you're in a world that's influenced by a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of things like that, and you're not awake to it, you're riding that wave. You didn't make a choice. You just sort of automatically did it. Where when you sort of awaken, you say, okay, that's all real and worse, and this is all real and better, and wow, it's all there. And then you have free will starts to really work. I think almost free will is something that we talk about, but we don't really experience until we start to awaken more, because now we understand our choices more.
mm,
So it's all super cool,
mm.
interesting.
And not only the free will to choose what we have available in this world, but also, and I think this for me has been a very beautiful experience, and calling in different entities and different angels and different star beings that we have access to now to be able to help me forget about the thoughts that I used to have, erase, because
Yeah,
they're not relevant anymore.
yeah,
Now that the veil is lifting, and a lot of the kind of the what we would call the false matrix, our beautiful friend Kerry Kay, she is just so eloquent in explaining that, and giving people the ease and the knowledge of what is actually happening. She is just
mhm.
amazing. Don't we like her?
Yeah, she's great.
She's
Yeah,
great. And explaining that the false matrix is falling away, and now this is the awakening. Like the illusion is literally disappearing in front of us, and we're like, okay, we're in a different space right now, Tero. We can make different choices. We can choose to erase neuroplasticity in a neuroplastic way, the the kind of the thoughts and ideas, the old thought loops that we used to have. We can get rid of them and start having brand new ones that align with these energies that are coming in right now.
yeah, and I think seeing Instagram videos and YouTube of her and other people saying things like that, and even the content that I'm getting, I find it shocking still. It's like the magnitude of what's actually happening. People are talking about it, but very few people are truly believing it yet. Even myself at times, and I'm like all in it, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
sometimes I catch myself. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. It's a lot. And it just continues
It's
to
deep. Yeah.
unfold. Yeah, yeah, and it's like there's there's a difference between like knowing and really understanding what that means for you yet. And I think we're at that first phase of like it's all starting to be revealed. We're starting to figure out like things were not the way we thought they were in every area
Mm,
of life, not just
mm,
in, the government is bad. It's
Mm.
everything, the food, society, the way it was created, the stories we know about
It
gender.
just doesn't end.
Everything. Everything's got like
Yeah,
some tilt, and you're just like
yeah.
wherever you look, and then it gets deeper to the point where like if it's all like this, then we must be in some kind of inverted matrix. Is a word,
Mm,
maybe illusion. Um,
mm,
for what means, for what purpose, for who benefits, right? And so you
mm,
start to ask like these deeper and deeper questions, and you know there are answers, but they're not out there in the mainstream. They're going to be inside of you. You
mm,
know, um, you might have a few people on Instagram like dropping 10-second clips, but the answer is not a 10-second clip.
mm.
The answer is meditating
It
for 2
might,
hours a day for a while
yeah,
until you really see it all. You don't have to do
yeah,
that. Like if you really want to see it, it's a story it's big. It's bigger than a Netflix series, I'll tell you that much. So, it's not a
100%.
10-second click on Instagram, right? Or this interview or anything.
Netflix would have to launch another
It's epic.
platform to hold all
Yeah.
this content.
It's epic. It's just like the most epic story you can imagine, and you can tune into different
Yeah.
parts of it. But there's
And you've
so
seen
much.
that
I have seen as much as I can see of it, up until
so
today,
far.
and I'm still seeing it. It's big. It's a big download,
Mm,
and you can summarize it and you can put it into a clip. But there is a reality that, um, for those who truly want to know, for those who seek, they shall find. Because that's the law. It's cosmic law. It's a
mm,
divine law. Let's call it. If you're actually looking for
mm,
something, you'll find it. Um, so it's like a lot of what, let's call them light workers, are doing right now. They're waking themselves up. They're the ones that like want to know, right? And they're finding stuff out and they're sharing what they find out. And then the purpose of this is to wake other people to maybe not know, but to go look. Even if half the information on the internet is complete bullshit, it doesn't matter if it gets somebody to think about something and actually go check for themselves.
mm,
Because we come from a moment where everyone was asleep, where we were programmed by the media to this is how things were, and this is the history books, and this is how things were. And everything was just handed to us on a silver platter. Life doesn't hand you stuff on a silver platter like that, for no reason if it comes from another person. Usually when you real knowledge, you have to figure stuff out yourself. You have to
mm.
try to understand stuff yourself. All right.
It's a beautiful way
Um,
of seeing it. Yeah.
yeah. So there's always a catch when somebody gives you here, there's the entire narrative completely ready to go. Take it. And then to give it to
Nah.
children too. It's interesting, right?
Mm,
So,
yeah.
if you've ever done anything super hard in your life, you realize there was no manual. There was no nothing. You just had to do it. That's what made it hard. That's what made it
Mm,
interesting, right? If you want to
mm,
create art, yeah, you could have some training on how to move a brush, but the art is inside of you, you know, right? Same thing with business and
beautiful.
technology and anything else. It's inside of you, right?
Creating
So,
whatever you want to create.
right. And so truth is going to be inside of you most of the time in this world. It's not prepackaged all the time. So even no matter what
Mm,
you're listening to, um, that's why like I made this class and these things because it was given to me this method, by these divine beings,
mm.
and it worked. It worked for me. I was able to see whatever I wanted to see. Um, and so I wanted
And
like,
it's
okay,
working
people
for.
had that. That's the lead domino. Like once they have that ability, whatever they want to do, they can figure out. You
Mm,
know, I think that's really interesting. I think that's what we are capable of as humans at this
yeah.
moment. Yeah.
And it just like these glimmers just keep on happening. Like you can think of anything you want to, and you can follow that path. No one at this point in time is telling you no anymore.
No. Yeah, we think, when you look at like the world, it feels like it's worse sometimes because the media, because movies, because music is all sort of demonic, let's
Because
call it.
war, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, war. Um, But if you zoom out a
famine.
little,
Yeah. Mm,
it's the best it's ever been at the same time.
mm,
It could never, it has never been this good. There's like a split in humanity.
mm,
The destruction, the darker, is getting more destructive and more dark.
mm.
You know, you see like Netflix, you turn it on, everything's dark. The music is all, it's not good. You know, it's like saying some really bad stuff here. You know, and like you
Yeah.
start to look around it, even the internet is starting to really flip and get a lot darker in some ways. So you can focus on that and you'll see that it is that way. The mainstream media
Mm,
is, it's just murder, violence, sex, explosion, drugs. And I'm
mm.
not, you know, I'm saying it's all those things are happening and I'm not like to judge it, but if it's 99% every time you turn on the TV, it's not going to make you happier, right?
No, I switched that channel long ago. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't watch
but it's
Netflix anymore.
migrated. It's migrated. It's migrated to Netflix. It's migrated to Amazon Prime. It's migrated to the internet
because
to
they're
an extent,
trying to hold people exactly in the
right?
in the denseness.
Into the density, right? And so
Yeah.
so when you start to really think about that, you know, yeah, a lot of smart people stopped watching TV, but they didn't stop watching Netflix. You know,
Mm,
they didn't cancel their Instagram account, you know? Um, we're being exposed to a lot of stuff, but if you pay attention, if you can see that and say, okay, this is it's getting a little wonky. But if you look at it on the other side, there's people like the woman we spoke of who is just like dropping all the truth right there. There's people who are incredibly positive. There's endless puppy and cat videos that make you smile and like and nice stuff on the internet, you know, and you just and
oh
jokes
yeah.
like I mean the amount of stupid stuff that I watch on the internet makes me laugh my ass off. It's
Oh
funny, you
yeah.
know? I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay. Like I stay for the LOLs, right? So like, you know, and the ability to connect with people and the ability to socialize and all that stuff. But you know, I
100%.
think that awareness of like, okay, there is a split in consciousness, and there is an agenda and a narrative. The narrative is to keep humanity down, sick, dumb, fat, stupid, um, and in fear, you know, and then broke and poor.
Mm,
Like, hate to
mm.
say it, that is actually what the
Slaves.
agenda. Yeah, because if you have a lot of money, you have abundance, you have health. The hell do you need anybody for, right? You have a nice
100%.
family. No. So like
100%.
it is an agenda. It is to keep you single, broke, fat, poor, and in bad
Mm,
health.
mm.
Because then whatever you're trying to fill all these holes in your life with work and consumerism, they got you pegged. You know, you're not really an independent thinker. You're not a threat to any system. Not only that, you're sort of productive for the machine, right? And the machine just wants to keep going. The machine wants to make sure you got a Happy Meal in your car and, you know, gas in your tank and a six pack in the fridge, right? Um, right. And you need people to produce
We've been
those things,
there. Yeah.
right? You need people to produce those things. You need people to serve those things up, to buy those things, etc. And yeah, it's all good. Um, but
And then tell you, like, no, bro, what you're doing is cultish. Like Aubrey Marcus has just dropped a documentary all about what we're doing as a collective, the light workers, the star seeds, the ascending ones, the awakening ones. Oh, now, okay, cool. If it's a cult, bro, let's do it. Let's make a cult because we're free. We're moving towards this freedom that we've never had before
it's
as a
just labels.
collective.
It's just labels. It's just, you know,
Oh yeah,
you know,
hundreds.
let's call it spirituality. It's got a bunch of BS in it too, and I get that.
Mm,
But it, you know, I was explaining this to a friend yesterday. Okay, like just a quick idea. We're moving into a world that's different, right? Where we actually know stuff, where we actually can feel our feelings, where we can actually understand another person, right?
mm,
And during this like sort of ascension and this rising energy, there's something that happens. And I was telling my friend this. There's two big drivers. As you start to wake up, as you start to ascend, you start to embody more of your soul.
mm,
Okay, and your soul, it wants more. Your soul always wants more. The soul is what's driving you through, you know, thousands of lifetimes through creation to desire more experience, more love, more power, more abundance, more knowing of itself. It always wants more and more and more and more. Okay.
Mm.
And so you start to wake up, right? And the soul starts to embody, and you start to want more from life. And we live in a world where like there's sort of a disconnect between how much the soul is actually coming into you and how much we're aware of what's possible. And so we haven't really become aware of what's possible because we're going through this process of awakening where the world is really clamped down still, in a very physical way. And there's not a lot of
Mental.
information, right?
Mm.
It's like, it's not like you just want an apple and it shows up in your stomach and you're done. You go out, you physically go get one, you eat it. So you're very connected to the natural world and your eyes and your senses and all these things. So suddenly your soul wants all this. You haven't really had that new paradigm yet. So what happens? You try to fill it with things. So, you want more love. So you start dating more people. You want more money. So you start working harder. You want more experiences. So you start traveling more. You want more and more and more and more and more. And it's what the soul wants, right? But, you can only travel so much before you've seen a lot of stuff. You can only eat so much food before you've ate the same thing 20, 30 times. And you're like, is this all there is, right? And,
Been there,
same thing with
yeah.
dating, with all those things. And so what happens? We get a cycle perversion, right?
Mm.
You like women, so you keep going to more and more and more and more and more until you can't feel it anymore. You like food, you keep eating to your fat ass. You keep working until you burn yourself out completely, and now you can't even fucking go to work anymore. So you start going and going, right? And I'm being a little dramatic here, but that's very real for a lot of people, one
Not
way or
dramatic at
another.
all. This is it.
You know,
This is life.
that's
We're
life,
in
right?
this mushy, shitty,
Because
like,
the end is higher, and we're coming into the body, but we're looking out, right? Out,
mm,
out, out.
mm,
And
mm,
what the soul is, the earth can only give you so much.
mm,
People sometimes that maybe don't think about this. There's only so many experiences you can have, a flavor of an experience, before it's sort of tapped out, before it slides into a perversion, into excess, right?
mm,
And the
mm,
soul is trying to grow, take that experience, and then go out, like out to see the world, yes, to expand into the world, yes, but also to expand past the world into all these other realms, and to compare them and to contrast them and to just experience them, because the soul is bigger than all those realms. So we're supposed to
mm,
sort of go inward, right, and then from the inside go out, instead of
mm.
just take, right?
And grounding that experience in our physical bodies, so source energy, divine mother, father can actually feel that experience of what it is
Right, yeah. And they want to,
ultimately.
yeah, it's you, it's so like somewhere it says, God created his children, sent him out, says, bring all experience back to me, right?
Mm,
And that's more or less how I've seen it, to be honest.
mm,
They explained it
mm,
to me in this very long-winded and like beautiful way of seeing how everything was created, and I saw it from the beginning all the way till now and beyond. But that is a great
wow.
metaphor, because at the end of the day, there was just one thing. It wanted to experience itself. It split into
Mm,
two, polarity,
mm,
duality, and then that split into the third, which is the observer, which is the mother, father, child sort of relationship. The child goes out, explores, brings back everything. It's, tells the story of the day to mom and dad.
mm.
Mom and dad experience themselves through that. And so that's
Beautiful.
basically times that by all of creation, right? That's what we're
Oh
doing. We're
yeah.
out around, but we're doing the same thing too. Mother, father, and we're creating a child and experiencing ourselves that way. That pattern repeats throughout creation,
Mm,
right? It's an original reminder of the original story that we experience in the
mm,
physical world, right? Um, and so we're going to do all this crazy stuff, but now the world has like this sort of cap on top of it of knowledge of what's you're allowed to know, and that's why people are so distorted in this world. The moment that goes away, I think a lot of distortions are going to automatically go away as well, because as we wake up, we remove our own veil, and then we
Mm.
start to see ourselves clearly, and that's the healing, and that's the like, oh man, I gotta get my shit together. It turns out I'm not that nice of a person. It turns out I'm
Yeah,
sort
I
of
gotta let this go.
fucking
I
problems
gotta,
over
I
here.
gotta get a healing. Yeah.
Yeah, I got like, I got some stuff that's like not great. And the reason
Or
is
there's
because
just a
it was
yearning.
great.
There's just,
Yeah, you
yeah,
know, it was
there's
great.
just a yearning
And
of
then I
love
realized,
just bubbles through. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I see that with like addiction. I see that with all of these different things. And I've experienced many of them, It's like, oh man, that cigarette was great, but it wasn't a great a pack later. It's like my lungs sort of hurt, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'm
That's
a
a
chain
bit
smoker,
much.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God. So it's like, it's everything sort of like that. And I think, and I find this funny as I think people wake up more, they get more spiritual energy, they get more stuff, and they think it's going to be easier. And I said, I don't know. I think it might be harder, because your desires are stronger. You see what happened to all these gurus. They always have sex scandals and things. It's not, I don't think it's because they're bad people. I think it's because whatever energy they have is a lot. If they're horny, they're real horny. If they're, you know, whatever it
Also,
is that,
was like he's a beautiful guy.
yeah, whatever the deal, So I
Yeah.
think you see the amount of energy that's coming in people's body, and the level of um, self control, understanding, and awareness is still low. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the time that we're moving into. And I think people do need contact with their guides. They need to
Mm.
talk it out with somebody. And you can't just
Mm.
go talk to random people for hours a day. Because when you have that spiritual awakening, it's not like you have one question. You have 1,000 questions. And then tomorrow you have another
Dividend.
1,000.
Yeah.
You just
100%.
gotta like keep going, until you really start to understand what's going on. And then the next phase is, where do I sit in all that, and what about my life? And like, it's a full circle loop where you come back to being you.
100%. But nowadays, because the veil is thinning, we are having more and more access in a personal channel with our higher selves. We are anchoring in our higher selves into this future crystalline body. And we can get to that, like how we changing. I mean, there's a lot of information out there, but our higher selves are anchoring into our physical bodies. We're
Mm,
becoming more of our higher selves.
yeah,
So that access that we never used to have is just coming online now, and that's all just also part of the game. It's part of the awakening process. Now we can start getting the information and the knowledge that we really wanted to. And like you said, how do we get that? Shut the fuck up inside your head. You sit down. Like Kerry would say the same thing. You sit down,
yeah,
sit, listen,
yeah.
feel, accept, own, love every part and piece of yourself. And then it all
100%.
just comes together. Sometimes you don't even have to ask questions. You're like, I've got so many questions. It's your mind really that like wants to have these answers. And then again, like um, the answers will come when the student is ready, but you don't have to have all the answers. Just sit and really start to enjoy yourself and start
Yeah,
finding those pieces of yourself that you've pushed away for so long. Yeah.
yeah. I think if you can enjoy yourself, that is the answer. Like, you
Mm.
come into this existence, life can be all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, that's yeah,
All
it can be
sorts
talked
of
about
things.
endless. Life can be whatever it is. But if you are sitting in a moment and you are enjoying it, then that is literally in the next moment you enjoy it. And for the most part of your day, you enjoy those moments. It doesn't really matter what those things were.
Mm.
It means you're enjoying your life.
Mm.
And there's so many people who are not enjoying their life. And I think that's the tragedy, the greatest tragedy, right? Wasted talent, beautiful lives that aren't being enjoyed, right? So it's like, here we are, Can you enjoy it? Doesn't matter if you're
As
sitting
it
on a bucket
is.
in the middle of nowhere and you got nothing, or you're in a mansion. If you can enjoy it, you are enjoying your life.
Mm. And we've been told for so long, I think this is why a lot of people don't enjoy their lives, because we've been told for so long that we need to have the money, the house, the car, all these things, the beautiful wife, the beautiful husband, the strong, fit, GQ body. And we've put all these expectations on ourselves and we get bombarded by this all the time. That's not really the most holistic way to go. And as soon as you start seeing through those visions and you start figuring out why you're not happy because you've set all these bars for yourself, like I've got to have that money. And of course you're getting disappointed because that isn't kind of for some people your life path. That's not your drama. Your is to first, I believe, go within, find everything that you are, and then, hey, presto, everything that you are appears outside. A lot of people are just grinding it out, just trying to think that they've got to create, create, create. You you don't. You're creating with your lack kind of mind. You're creating more lack. You're creating more distrust, disease.
Yeah, I mean, a
So we
friend
just got to
recently gave me some
stop.
advice, another friend, and he said,
Mm,
happiness is a
friends are
choice.
great.
Friends are great, man.
Mm.
Every now and then they drop a little nugget, you know, right when you need it. And he said this in the context of, a lot of drama going on. He said, it doesn't really matter what's happening. Happiness is a choice. Um, and it's simple, but it's sort of profound, because you could be going through something like terrible, and
Mm,
choose to be happy anyways.
mm,
Or you can be in a beautiful moment and catch yourself and say, I choose to be happy and to celebrate this moment.
mm,
So there is a thing where it's like you are in control, of how you feel. We always want to make it somebody else's problem, but
mm,
you are choosing. You're always creating. You're in the image of God. You're part of it. God is the ultimate
mm,
creator. It's creating all of creation to
mm,
experience self. You're doing the same thing. Whether you're not doing anything, you're pouting at home, you're still creating that experience. Whether you go out and be the life of the party, you're creating that experience. Whether you go out and, do something constructive with your time that you feel is constructive, doesn't matter what it is, you're creating. And so, like the false thing are expectations, given to you prepackaged on that silver platter. This is what it is to be beautiful. Okay. If you're not in this magazine, you're not beautiful. This is what it is to be rich. If you don't have that kind of riches, you're not rich. And it's like, what's funny is you travel enough, you see the flavors are different all over the world, but the general themes are the same. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's
turning.
not very real to me anymore.
No.
But there was a time where it
It,
was. I was all
same.
in it.
You were.
So, and that's the awakening is like, shit, I'm either
You got
getting
pulled
older or it
straight
doesn't
out of
matter,
that.
I'm
Yeah.
either getting older or this just never did matter, like how did we ever believe this crap? Um,
No.
you know,
But then first it's like believing if I want riches, I've got to find that abundance within me. And the abundance and the gratitude for the air that I breathe, the prana that I bring into my system. Wow, gratitude for that. And then you start to figure out that you're surrounded by abundance anyway, and you're an attraction machine.
yeah,
Like a lot of people are now like realizing, oh shit, okay, if I'm the creator and the way I vibrate on my frequency, what my frequency is putting out there, that's what I'm attracting back.
yeah. I
So
mean,
that feedback loop is becoming like really, really in your face right now. It's like the manifestation kind of
I would like
quickening
to
that we're
talk about
going through. Talk
let's
about
talk
it,
about.
baby. Let's do this.
I do a lot of channelings and stuff, and I never talk about
Yes, you
manifestation.
do. Oh,
You
bring
know,
it on.
I don't ever talk about it very much. It's always about sort of ascension things, things that are happening, sort of downloads I get. But when it comes to manifestation, I never really talk about it. There's lots of people saying good stuff about manifestation. I think they're right about a lot of it. But I have experience with manifestation. I had experience
Let's
before my
go.
spiritual awakening. I had experience after. You know,
You've
I,
done
I
well.
essentially,
You've done well, my friend.
yeah, I'm one of those people that probably makes over $1 million a year, right? And I have been for a while.
Beautiful. Mm,
And I did it in a couple of different ways. I started tech companies out of fear in the beginning. And when I was 23, I started my first tech companies, and I never stopped. I was a workaholic. I was afraid of being broke. I was afraid of being poor. I grew up sort of that way a little bit, and I didn't want that for myself. And so out of like this a massive fear, big chip on the shoulder, classic story of
mm,
it's not fucking for me, man. I don't know. I need lots of money. I need to get the fuck out of this thing. I don't know what it is, but I can't live that way.
yeah.
Um, that was like in crazy, crazy motivator, but a very negative motivator. And so it
Mm,
created this machine inside of me that would be very, very willing to work hard to build stuff. And very sort of early on in my like career, I started to see that whatever I was thinking, I would start to experience. Whatever
mm,
I could imagine or dream, I could build.
mm,
I
mm,
could connect
mm,
the dots and build it. I could get the people to do it. I could get the funding, whatever it needed. You know.
mm,
But the core little driver inside of me was like, like there's a sneaky little fear of like, dude, I can't go, to a place where I have no control over my life, right? So I have to build, 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 run, 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 run. And this went on all the way until, my like mid 30s, let's call it, from like,
wow.
early, until I had this spiritual awakening. I had this ET experience, had all this crazy stuff go down, which blew up a lot of my life. I lost a lot of money, um, way more than I like to admit. But I didn't lose the company. Um,
Thank God.
but yeah, but what happened is that desire to run the company went away completely,
Mm,
because the fear went away completely. The moment I woke
mm,
up, I wasn't scared anymore of
mm,
life. So the thought of getting up to go like slog on some company, because I owe it to my employees and my investors and the clients and to myself supposedly and all this stuff, and and the fear of it, of what would happen if I didn't perform, was gone, which was a very negative thing if you think about it from a company standpoint,
like
right? It's
what
pretty
happened to our founder, bro?
the
He's like,
founder just, yeah, founder lost it, man. Founder got abducted by
yeah,
aliens, tripping
he's
balls.
not in
He's,
it
you
anymore.
know, his head ain't in the game, man. We gotta fire this
Yeah,
guy, right?
yeah.
So I gotta keep this feeling secret for a while, because I was just like, I can't do this one more day. And so I
Mm,
let a lot of things burn, and they did. Lost millions, right? So,
mm,
but then something flipped. Something flipped inside of me, and that desire came back. But the desire came back from a place of love, from a place of opportunity, of what could be created. You know, um, the company I have is not a spiritual company. The one that makes me money, Awaken, is what I do for fun, at this point. But my main company is, it's a technology company, and so it
mm.
was like, okay, well,
Specifically dealing with AI as well.
a lot of AI,
Mm,
yeah, lots of stuff.
mm,
So, it was like, how could I make that company more fun to work at? How could I
mm,
make it, how could I take what we're working on and make it way more interesting, do something no one's doing? How
mm,
could I challenge myself to have fun with it and to create value with it, and to, sort of enrich all of us and my employees and myself and investors and everybody in a way, that feels better and that's significantly more money? How can I 10x or 100x the value of that company? Just for the LOLs, because what else I got going on? I'm tripping balls. I'm waking up.
I'm
Okay,
here
cool.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, maybe I want to make a ton of money too. Why not? Who gives a shit?
Mm.
You know? So like
Yeah.
time's short, man. Maybe I can put it to good use. So when that all shifted, the company exploded in growth and it was so much more fun and I enjoy it. You know, and so it's like it all starts with ideas. The way that manifest works is your mind. You have divine mind, which is creating all this, which you are. But then you have your localized mind, right? That's like in your aura. That's your mental
Mm.
body. And
Mm.
everything that you're thinking is sending signals to bring you back that experience. So,
Mm.
you know, if you think about a flower, you'll see one. You'll see one on a bush, on the ground. Somebody will bring you one. Whatever you're thinking of will be manifested. It's not
Mm.
could be, it will be.
Mm.
Um, but the truth of the thing is we think we're thinking about something. Um, but we have the conscious thought and then we have this unconscious doubting all the time. And so when you start to actually become, that's when things really manifest. If your desire for a butterfly is crystallized, you'll probably see one very soon.
Mm.
If your desire for money is there, okay. Um, you know, but we're in a way where it's like we have to go find that experience. That money could come in a lot of different ways. It could come through a creative project you do. It could come through a partner that you marry. It could come through inheritance. It could come through luck. It
The
could come through the lottery
jackpots.
you bought at the
Yeah.
Circle K. You know, it could come through a lot of ways. You
Yeah.
know, so you sort of have like these loose desires, and then a willingness to to help make them real. You know, to meet the creator halfway. You are the creator, but to meet all the other creators out there, right? Um, and so I think I see a lot of spiritual people, right? And there's a lot of spiritual people who don't have much money, you know? And there's still like these levels of story. You know, money is just energy. There's nothing wrong with it. It just
Mm.
amplifies, just like your soul. Having a lot of soul is a good thing, but it could make you a terrible person, you know, because now you have a lot of unbridled desires and you have no self control, man.
Mm.
Having a lot of money is the same way. You know,
Mm.
now you want it, go get it. Yeah, you can buy that. You can buy that. You can buy all these crazy experiences. Go for it.
Mm.
No one's going to stop you. You know, it's just gonna show you who you are real quick.
Cybertruck.
Yeah, I just bought a Cybertruck. You know, bulletproof
Let's
truck.
go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
it pisses people off. You know, I had it for like 2 hours. Some kids threw some rocks at me and shit, and I was like, you know,
No.
there's a part of me that was
No.
like, you know, I'm pissed. You know, like you say what you want, but I still have that in me where like, you know, I could flip out maybe. You know
100%.
what I
We're
mean?
here. We're human. Like it comes up.
Yeah, yeah, man. I
It
had this
comes up
car
like
for an
we
hour.
are, kid.
I already got rocks, man, going 85 on the
No.
highway. This is insane,
No.
right? You know,
Where was
so
that?
like it was just on the way back to my house, man. I was driving from
No.
Phoenix to Sedona, and this
No,
car
bro.
pulled up, and these kids were flicking me off, start throwing rocks out the window, and hitting the car, and I was like, you know, you have the devils and the angels, man, inside of you. It doesn't matter how loving and awakened you are, you're at least
Mm.
going to be challenged to see what you're going to do. It's like, I could ram this guy off the road, and you know, we'd all go
Yeah.
to jail. Someone's gonna
You
get
could
hurt.
drive over his car,
Yeah,
baby. And like, but no.
yeah, we
Yeah.
could stomp these guys, you know, but like
Ye-
that's probably not the right path, right? I mean, I did
No.
buy a bulletproof truck for a reason. I'm sure to take a rock, so maybe I just chill out and move on, right?
Well, according
So
to Joe Rogan, it could take a lot more. So, yeah.
yeah, right. So it's just like it's funny, you know, because um, these spiritual people out there, they have a persona, right? I see this a lot in the United States. Is it's everyone picked a persona and then they become that person. I'm Lisa Simpson from the from the Simpsons, and I'm this person from Third Rock from the Sun, and I'm that, you know, and everyone sort of embodies it and they become it. It's very unconscious. It's a very tricky thing that they did with TV and movies and all these different things. And I see these people buying their narratives, and it's like, hmm, there's actually only you. There's only one real you, and the whole point of living is to figure out who that is or to define it for yourself. That's the
Mm,
big gift, right? And
mm,
when you look at like even like the spiritual community, there's a lot of personas. There's the guys that wear leaning all day long and they do this and they do that and they have like all their like little practices and it's all very Pachamama and that's great, cool. But if it's like a niche. There's all these little niches, right? And the reality is anyone can be spiritual because this is a spiritual world. McDonald's is spiritual. The whole is spiritual. Maybe it's
yeah.
low vibration spiritual, but it is a spiritual experience. What
It's a choice
kind?
out there. Yeah.
Yeah. The whole world is light and sound made manifest, man. It is a
Mm,
spiritual world. It's we call it physical because it's so slow. But
mm,
physical goes all the way up to the 12th dimension. There's a physical fifth dimension, sixth dimension, seventh dimension, 12th dimensional Earth, man. There's a 12th dimensional Earth that is physical, you
wow.
know, um, and it's angelic and beautiful, and archangels and all kinds of stuff are interacting with that plane. Um,
Wow.
so what are we talking about here? So
Mm,
there is no one way to do anything. You could be a corporate executive who's blissed out, man. You know, you could
yeah.
be a spiritual person who makes lots of money, and
100%.
wears linen and is hippie because you like it, because you like the
Yeah.
vibe. Cool, man, do it. But like,
You can go to Burning Man and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and still like come back home and re-cleanse yourself and then follow. Yeah, you can still be
you can
following
do
your
whatever
path of, yeah.
you really want. And I think that's the beauty of ignorance, right? So free will and ignorance are sort of related. Um, the more ignorant are you, the more free you feel. The more
Mm,
you know, you're still completely free, but
mm, mm,
right? Now you know the repercussions. Now you know what it is. If I drink, how long does it take me for my vibration to come back? 10 days, right? One glass, right? It lowers your vibration for 10 days. So, it's like, okay, well, I feel like I have one, so screw it. You're free. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you aware of what's going on. If I yell at this person, chances are they're going to yell at me back, right? If I
yeah.
continue to yell at everybody, probably the whole world's going to yell at me back until my life sucks. Maybe I should stop being a
Yeah.
dick. Like
Yeah.
now I'm
100%.
aware. But when you're unconsciously just like screaming at everyone because you got all this anger inside,
Mm,
which is a lot of people, right? They're
mm,
just having this bad experiences, reconfirming how they feel. I feel
mm,
this inside. I expressed it, and the world confirmed it over and
mm,
over and over. They can never break the loop. And so the
mm,
whole world is because they were programmed. Everything was given to them that way. They were programmed into a loop to continue to experience the same thing over and over again. If I go to
mm,
work at this office selling insurance every single day, I'm going to have the same experience every day. There's the coffee machine, there's the water machine, there's the front girl at the front desk, there's this, there's that, there's the five clients I can't stand. For 20 years, you begin to judge the rest of the human experience based off that. But the
yeah.
reality is, there's somebody like right next door having a completely different experience that you can't even fathom, right?
And they're just like, let's go. What have you got for me? Bring
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. Both are happening and both are available to everybody. That guy who's blissed out could become an insurance guy and the insurance guy can go get blissed out. It doesn't matter. There's no rules
Mm,
to it. But the
mm,
awakening is the awareness of what's possible. And I think as we begin to figure out what's possible, our choices evolve. You know, like I'm going to work a different kind of job, for example, because I know more and this is how I want to experience my day. I don't want to be
mm,
stuck in an office, for example, or certain things, or if I do, I want the office to be sick, I want it to be really nice, right? Or whatever it is, because your desires start to change, you start to change. Um, and I think that's the beauty of what's happening now. Now there's this light, there's this energy. It's like this pressure cooker happening on Earth where you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up. You don't really have a choice in some way. The choice is not to wake up, but you're not going to stay on Earth. You're going to slip on a banana peel, man, hit your head. Something's going to happen to you if you really
yeah.
don't want it. because Earth is on its own path and it's a free will sort of deal. You know, you want to go with the
mm,
flow or you want to leave.
mm,
And that's sort of what I'm seeing. You know, it's like the amount of pressure to waking is only going to increase.
mm,
And there's going to be a lot of, awakening is a type of crisis of
mm.
identity, crisis of desire. What do I even want anymore? Who am I? Why am I doing this? That's the first step, and that step is not a good feeling sometimes,
No. But
right?
then again, at that time when you feel this pressure, there is a chance, and I've heard Pashar and Daryl Anka say this, I just don't know anymore. And people will get to that point and surrender and open up to their higher selves because their higher selves has been knocking on the door of our mind all this time saying, I've got the greatest life for you.
Yeah,
Bro, girlfriend, just whatever you, and these are the words of Bashar, whatever you thought was like the life that you wanted, you've got no idea.
yep,
And that just pumps me up because I'm like, okay, cool. The guy Sean, the guy Adrian, the woman Tina Turner, whoever it might have been, all had these ideas of just of what Tina Turner actually is just a completely not a great example because she just totally embodied herself and she was just a superstar. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
she just killed it. She nailed it all.
yeah,
Um, these ideas of what we think we are and who we are, these are crumbling, and we're being put under this pressure cooker and dissolving those stories that we had in our mind of, okay, I've got to be this person. I always wanted to have a lot of money. Uh, I've got to do this, that, the next thing. I had this whole plan, and now it's like, okay, nah, I'm gonna just
right.
I'm just going to open up, surrender, and allow. I'm just going to say, show me the money, show me the life that you have for me, higher self. God's like, let's go.
Yeah, but action is required. You know,
Action is required.
you can, let me give it like, break it down like this.
Mm,
When you have the story that I have to be this way and da da da, you believe it so much that you go out and you do it. You go get that job, you show up, you dress up, you go home, you get that kind of partner that you think you deserve, and that. You have the whole story, you've seen the whole vision, and you just actually go out and put in the work to do it.
mm,
And so it happens, it manifests because you are doing that work. But the story doesn't hold so much energy as we think it does. It's not super energetic, but your actions make it so. Okay? Now, when you truly just realize who you are in some way, you surrender who you're surrendering to. You're like, I'm surrendering to God. Who's God, man? Who you're surrendering to the highest aspect of yourself because you are
mm,
God at a very, very, very high level. You're the whole
mm,
creation. Yes, you are
mm,
you, and you have your name and your job, and you have a soul, and your soul has maybe, has had many incarnations, and maybe that soul has an oversoul who's had many different things, and it's all this chain of command all the way up, and there's angels, and there's all this. Yes, that's all
mm.
true. But when you surrender, when you just say, fuck, I can't do it, I just don't know anymore, and you go all the way home, you go all the way to that central point where everything's emanating from, that is also you. And so you're surrendering to yourself, man. And then you're asking for that information to flow through into to experience yourself as
Mm,
that, as your
mm,
soul, as your oversoul, all these different layers you can experience yourself out as past
mm,
lives, future lives. Okay, sure, if you want to, you can. But
mm,
at the end of the day, this life is where you are in eternity. It's all happening. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. You can't run from this. You can ignore it. You can pretend it. You can whittle away your life, but this is actually where you're at. And
mm,
so suddenly, when you surrender to yourself and then let drop everything else that wasn't you, that you can identify, and then start to recreate that self. And now you're not a story anymore. You're being it. And then that, when you act on it, is where everything explodes, because the energy is not the energy of a story. It's the energy of being. And the actions are like little matches to that gasoline. It's going to explode. Right? So before, you needed a blowtorch because you're like, the amount of gasoline you have is so small from this like
Your
story you don't
3D
even like.
blowtorch.
Like your traumas, you're operating from like this crap place. And so
Yeah.
you're just working and you're working and you're working. You know what I
Trying
mean?
to light it all
You
up. Yeah.
figure it all out. And then now you have like this huge bomb of like your soul just sitting there. And when it wants to do something, yes, you have to go work. But when you work on it, if it's true knowing, it's going to manifest like this, right? Because if you are everything, you're also all the people around. And most opportunities come through people. So they'll come. They'll give you what you ask for. But you have to be bold enough. And you know, this happens after you've shed the fear in a lot of things, I would say. Because then you can take those opportunities. You know, somebody came with this opportunity. Okay, I'll take it. It requires me to be a different person, but I can be that person tomorrow morning. It's no big deal. You know, I see an opportunity, you know, to be with a certain type of person that I always wanted to, but that would require me to step up my game completely. It would require me to move. It would require me to do something different. Oh, yeah.
Vibrate
Let's do
differently.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will be that person. Let's experience that. You know, let's go see what that's all about. Whole nother
100%.
level of experience, right? So, you know, but requires you to do something, requires you to change, requires you to actually experience it. A lot of people are
Yeah.
just, they're in their mind and they're dreaming, they're experiencing in their mind, and then they think they actually did the thing. No, you didn't do the thing, man. Doing the thing is doing the thing. That's the only thing that does the thing. Okay? Book ain't gonna write itself, man.
Do
ChatGPT might
that
speak
thing.
stuff, great. But like, if you sit down with a piece of paper, old school, it takes work. You know, it's statistically more probable in the United States to make $1 million than it is to have a six pack. Okay?
Wow.
You have a higher chance of making $1 million than having a six pack, because six packs are hard. You got to
Yeah.
diet, you got to exercise, you got to work out. As you get
That's a
older, it gets a little
lot.
bit harder, right? So you got to get ripped is actually very difficult. So, you
And
know,
where do you
you
get the
have
time to get ripped, man? Yeah. I mean,
it's just like, you can't fake your way through it, man. You can't take out a loan. You can't do anything besides do push-ups, man, and you know, crunches and eat well, right? And do all the basic stuff. It's not hard stuff, but you got to do it like hard for like a long time, and then you can do it. And
yeah.
money is funny, you know, because it's like, you know, you can luck your way into those kind of things. Sometimes you can get lucky, you can manifest, you can marry well, you can, you know, have a business that just explodes, whatever. You can buy a house and the house just doubles in value. You know,
You
like
can,
some crazy
you
thing
can,
goes down.
exactly. You can also choose within your sphere, within your Merkaba, within your field, that you are abundant, that you have that money. It's there. It's in the vortex. Show me. Bring it down.
Sure,
Bring it in.
you're gonna have to reach up and go grab it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think
yeah,
the point
yeah.
is just, you know, you could a beautiful partner could come who's, you know, rich, and they want to marry you. You say, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, well, you're going to have to marry that person. You're going to have to plan the wedding. You're going to go there. You're going to live with them. You're going to have family with them. You're going to be in their family and their family in yours. And it's like, don't tell me that's not work. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
that's work.
work.
Oh, that's
Okay.
huge amount of work.
A huge amount of work. Okay. So like,
Yeah.
no, you're going to have to do it, you know, in some way or another, but there's all these different scenarios. Getting a six pack is simple. But you can't fake it. You just actually have to do the work, and it's
Mm,
not hard work, but it's just consistent work. And
mm,
so you'd be surprised that that's like a hard thing to do,
mm. I think
you
I
know.
think the biggest thing about that is really being aware of the path that you're creating, your actual golden pathway. And every step that you're taking, you're like, yep, 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 it's all here. I got this. I'm trusting. I'm trusting. and I'm feeling the messages coming through. I'm feeling my intuition amping up. I'm gonna change a job completely. I don't know what's gonna happen, but this has always been my desire. I'm gonna go this way, and I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna fall back in love with my own self and figure out, obviously, along the way, that everything that I thought that I actually ever wanted was just hogwash. And now I'm following my desire and really just walking your own dharma and trusting in that process and knowing that every step you take, it just forms around you. Just
Yeah.
such
Yeah,
as
and it's
such as
beautiful.
magic.
It's
Mm.
beautiful. Like there's so
And I think a
many
lot of
amazing
people
experiences.
taking, yeah, a lot of people just taking those steps because they're like, what do you mean my higher self? What do you mean source energy? What's the Pleiadian, bro? Yo,
Yeah.
why do you sleep
Yeah.
with crystals next to your bed? Like hang five. Like it's
Yeah.
like brother, sister. One day you'll figure this out. One day you'll be tapped on the shoulder with some beautiful information and you'll turn around and you'll go, wow, wow, and it'll all just fall into place and you are just
Yeah.
going to be following your dharma and going for it.
Yeah. For me it was so funny how my awakening happened. It
Let's chat
happened at
about
different
that, please.
yeah, it happened at different times, but I didn't understand. I
Mm,
didn't understand. I had a near death experience when I was maybe 20, 21. you
mm,
know. Let's call it a bad drug interaction
sweet.
happened in college. And, I ended up trying to drive myself to the hospital, blacked out, crashed the car, woke up in the ER, but I wasn't in my body. I was watching all the medics work on me.
Mm,
And, it wasn't like the movies, man. It was devastating. It was very painful. I couldn't feel anything, but it was very painful to watch that happen. And there was a
mm,
voice that came, an angel, but I didn't know anything about those things. I just know that there's this big booming voice talking to me, and it was like, you might die. I'm like,
mm,
I asked, am I going to die? And they're like, yeah, probably. You'll be
mm,
okay. But yeah, you're
mm.
probably not going to make it. That's why you're here, like standing with us.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
I'm about to take you this way.
yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. But
Mm,
some people are gonna hurt along the way. And they took me through the wall and they showed me my parents out in the parking lot, like getting to the hospital and going to the front desk. And I'm like floating over them with this guide. And
wow.
oh my God, I could feel their emotions. I could feel the doctors. I could hear everyone's thoughts. It was excruciatingly painful, man.
Mm,
And
wow.
let's just say, things changed dramatically after that day.
You
Um,
survived. You made
I
it through, baby.
Yeah, I basically I was out of my body for quite a while, and then they're like, "Okay, you can go back." Um,
Can I
are you
can I
there?
ask? Yeah, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here. Can I ask that they gave you the choice to actually go back? They said, all right, well, what do you choose?
No, I was
No.
begging for my
Okay, done.
hardcore. I was
Mm,
begging to go back. I
mm,
like in that state. I knew that I didn't do anything that I came to do. I was too young. Like there was like
mm,
no way I was checking out now, and I was begging. And they're like, "It's not our choice." Basically, is what
mm,
they said. They're like, "Hey, man, it's not up to us. We're just here to comfort you."
mm,
I was like, "Oh my God, that's even worse." And then eventually, it was like, "Okay, it looks like you're good." Boom. I popped back in my body, opened my eyes, and everything as I saw it was exactly that way. And so that
mm.
experience I didn't tell anyone about for 10 years because I was so traumatized by it. I'd start crying, I'd like sort of I had basically some trauma around that.
Wow.
And I didn't understand it was an spiritual experience because I didn't know anything about spirituality. I wasn't religious. I didn't know anything.
Mm, mm.
And so that carried on. And it was like 5 years later, 4 years later, um, I was working in Argentina. I was started my first tech company. I was in Argentina. And I had an out of body experience. It was like 5 in the morning. It was funny. I had
Lighting a
smoked.
cigarette.
Yeah, I smoked, and when I went to Argentina, like a pack of cigarettes was like 20 cents or something US, right? So I was like smoking now like a pack a day more, you know, I was just like going loco with the thing. And, you know, and that started this company and I got sick. I got sick because I was smoking so much. I got pneumonia and I got
Wow.
really sick. And this guy took me to a doctor and they, you know, x-rayed my lungs. And the guy basically called me a moron. He's like, you got to stop smoking, you know, you got to quit. Gave me
Wow.
antibiotics. And then I was, you know, 2 weeks later, I was feeling great. But at the time, I shared this flat with a guy, and I slept in the living room on the floor, and that was our office. We had tables set up, and we had all the phones and computers and stuff, and I'd sleep on the floor of
Wow.
the office essentially. And I woke up at like everyone smoked still. I was the only one that stopped smoking. So it was like
Yeah.
5 in the morning, and I saw this pack of cigarettes next to me. I picked one up, and smoked it, and as soon as that hit my lungs, it hurt because my lungs were still healing and it
Yeah.
hurt. And I remember as soon as it hurt, I was like, oh my god, that was so dumb. And then I popped out of my body and I saw this timeline in my life since the moment I was
Wow.
born till that moment. It was like flashcards of every
Mm.
decision I'd ever made. And there was like that voice again, man. And that voice was like, your life is the way it is because you have no self control. You made all these choices, but you didn't make them. You know, you let other people make them for you, or you made them based off of just like these sort of primal desires and all the stuff that you never even thought about. You didn't consciously,
You gone loco. Yeah.
you know, and like this is where your life is going. And then this voice is like, or you could change it and it could go that
Mm.
way. And
Mm.
I remember just seeing like this like thing go into a Y, you know, and just like, oh shit. And it like, and I don't know how it happened, but it happened in a way that was like, I knew. I knew that I was the dumbass, you know, and that's why I was sleeping on the floor in Argentina with fucking no money because I was a
Yeah.
moron, you know. Like, yeah, it sounds
Gotta
romantic,
make different life choices, bro. Yeah.
and you know, I was like fucking broke, sleeping on the ground, you know. So I was
Found
like,
the found a
okay,
life. Yeah.
yeah, it sounds all good, you know, but there's many ways to be a founder. That's probably like one of the bad ones.
Yeah.
So you know, I was like, dude, this is fucked, you know. So and I saw it all, and I knew it was all me, and I was like, oh my god, it's no one will ever stop me if I make my own choices, because that's not how the world works. The world only supports you. The illusion is that everyone's going to stop you. That's why all the movies have bad guys who are stopping you from doing everything. It's not true. It's not true. The laws barely even work in this world, man. You know, like
Mm.
nothing is working. Nothing. It's very inefficient. So there's nothing
Mm.
that can really stop you as much as you think you can. You know, unless
Mm.
you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
But you know, in reality, things are just supporting however you feel and however you're creating, and however you're doing it. The
And
world is
whatever you
almost in
believing. Yeah.
it's just a mirror, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember I had that like click at like 23 when
Mm.
I had this experience, and I changed everything. You know, stopped
Mm.
drinking, stopped smoking, stopped weed, stopped all the stuff, stopped going partying. I became like a Puritan for about a year. I left that
Wow.
city, went to another city, started another company, you know, and just
Wow.
started over. Rebuilt my friend group, rebuilt everything. I saw it's
Wow.
crystal clear. Um, and then, you know, and then I exploded in growth. That company ended up having like 50 employees just a few years later,
Wow.
and was making good money. And I was still in Argentina, but I was in Argentina posh, not on the floor, you know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a big difference, you know. And the money spends back then it was a lot. The multiplier was huge. So
Yeah.
you know, it was like suddenly I was living this lifestyle at like maybe 25, 26 that was just ridiculous, you know. Um, but it wasn't drugs and alcohol. It wasn't any of that. You know, it was just like a lot of work, a lot of creation. We had huge clients, you know, big name brand clients. We had all these jobs going down. I was flying around a lot to go meet people, and at a very young age, you know, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about software. I learned a lot about technology, about business, because of that experience, and it all happened from that cigarette, right?
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
so how, you know, that one thing made me like $1 million, right? Just it didn't take very long. It only took like 3 or 4 years to where I started to make money.
I
And
would have kept that pack of cigarettes and framed it, just like put it up on your wall saying,
it changed my
thanks.
life. It was
Yeah.
the realization that I'm in control of my life. Now, I still wasn't
Mm,
like a spiritual person in many ways, but I knew that if I sat down, I thought about it, and I visualized things, I could do it.
mm.
It wasn't until I had the massive spiritual awakening and I realized, okay, there's all these levels of consciousness and you can channel them and you can talk to them and all that good stuff. That's all good. But that foundation was building all along. I just didn't realize it, you know?
And and what happened in your second experience then? What, you spent a couple of years just growing this business, and then lo and behold, they appear again.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew a couple businesses. I grew that business, lost that business, grew another business, even bigger,
Hmm.
lost that business. It
Wow.
was just, I didn't lose the business. I stepped out and started another one, but that business became extremely large. It might be close to $1 billion company at this point, I
Wow.
suspect. Um,
Wow.
but it's funny. I met with my old co-founder, from back in the day when I had lunch,
Yeah.
and he's like, "How you doing?" And this is a few years ago where I was like really in it. I just had sort of my life was blowing up after that my big awakening, and I'm like, bad. I'm going through like separation with my like wife. I'm doing all that. Like, I lost millions of dollars. I'm tripping balls out in Sedona. And then, he's like, yeah, like this, our company is, it was a payment processor and he's processing, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. Um,
Wow.
and when I handed it to him, it was like 20. So it was like, holy smokes, and we were laughing at each other. It's like, man, you're doing good, I'm like, I'm not doing great. But it was fun, like the forgiveness of situations, the guy was always a great guy. But the situation definitely pissed me off at one point, but you got to let it go, and
Yeah.
so like as you go through it, like you have to eat some humble pie, in your awakening. Like life will bring you full circle just to take another look at it, see how you feel about something, you know, um,
100%.
especially some of your big failures. And I think we all have them, at
Mm.
different ways, but something that we really messed up or lost an opportunity on. And so, it was a funny full circle moment. So, um, but my awakening that started about 6 months before the pandemic.
Mm.
Um, I was just working, and then um, I had an experience. I had an experience where I saw um, like multiple lifetimes. It's just like bomb went off. I saw all this stuff in my mind, and in
Mm.
my emotions, and it was pretty crazy. I was watching something channeled, which was funny because like someone told me like an alien wrote a book, and I watched some TV show and they were talking about like this law of one. And I was like, that's bullshit. So I bought it on Amazon and I started reading it, and I was like, I don't know, man. This is like makes a lot of sense. And I was like, I wonder if people are still doing this because this was like the 80s. So I Googled it and I was watching something on YouTube or on the TV of some channeled person's channel Archangel. I didn't even believe in them at the time, really. And
Yeah.
suddenly it's just like, boom. I was listening to this
Uh,
woman and saw everything. I was crying. I was a mess. So that was my first
wow.
experience. And then after that, you know, I went to go meditate. I'd been meditating for a while. But like just to like for performance, man. I was like, oh, I'm a CEO. I'm stressed out. I should meditate. That's what you're supposed to do. I like literally,
100%.
yeah, I literally like had no spiritual inclination. And so I was just like meditating. But that day after I had that experience, I was like, yo, angels, this is bullshit. I know you talk to people, so just tell me what is going on. Like apparently this is
Yeah.
real.
Give me the
And
lowdown.
yeah, I had a booming voice that just said you were loved. And there was like all this energy went through and I was like vibrating. And so for like
Mm.
months I was vibrating. I wasn't hearing anything, but I was just vibing. Like literally I
Mm.
like started to meditate and I could feel my spine just go, and just
Mm.
start to move. And so I was like, oh wow. And so a few months later, I went to go see like a psychic, one of these crazy people. For me at the time, now I'm like, oh, they're not that crazy. They actually just awake. Um,
You went away to a space where they had pyramids
I
in
did
the
all
space
kinds of,
that you were in.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like, it was like I had that experience, and then like I was sort of searching, and I was like looking around for something, you know,
Mm.
and and I went for a hike in Sedona, and then I was like, you know, there's all these psychics and stuff. Maybe they know because I don't know what I experienced. And so I went and I talked to somebody, and this lady started channeling, and she told me all this crazy stuff about my soul and why I came here and all these things and what was going to happen in my life. And it was so outrageous, but it felt so true. I was like crying, you know, I was like a mess again.
Mm.
And so I'm like, this can't be true. It's too fantastical, you know? Um, there's no way that this is real. And so I went to see somebody else, and they said the same thing. And I went to see somebody else, and they said the same thing. So I'd run through like 3 or 4 people who said the same thing, and they said that, you know, at one point your whole life's like this one way connection. Like your guides and all these beings like see everything you do, but you see nothing. And that they said they're gonna fix that. They're gonna like take you and fix that. And I was like, I don't even know what that means, right? So somebody had told me that, and it was like a month later, and I was in my house, and it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I had been meditating, and I had seen like these sort of blue outline people like in my meditation, and I was trying to talk to them, and they're like, "You can't really talk to us. You know, your energy's not there yet. You're not that level." And I'm like, "Well, you know?" And me being like the smartest I am, I'm like, "Well, can you fix it?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, we can fix it." I'm like, "Can you do it now?" And they're like, "Sure." And I'm like, "Do I have to do anything?" Like, nope. So I was sitting there waiting for something to happen. Nothing happened. So I just stopped meditating. I'm like, dude, I am like going crazy. I'm ridiculous, you know? I just totally didn't even like, just forgot about it. I went to the kitchen, got some water, and I came back to this sort of like room that I had, um, sort of like a guest room. And I was like sitting there
Mm.
on the bed, and suddenly, like that, it was like, took, I was gone. And I was like standing on a spaceship, man, and it was in this big room of light. There's like light coming from all directions, from the floors and ceilings, and it was so crystal clear, more clear
Mm.
than this reality in some ways. And I
Mm.
was like super confused. I had no idea what was happening, no idea what was there. And then like this box opened, it looked like a door opened. In the light, more light opened, and a woman walked through who was human, very beautiful, wearing a one-piece suit. Um, and she's like, "Hey, Adrian." She had a big smile, like she knew me. Like, and I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. And she's
Yeah,
like,
like
"Hey,
who are
Adrian."
you, girl? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I was just so confused. I couldn't even process my emotions. I was just like, what? You know,
Yeah.
and she came through and she was smiling, saying, "I'm going to help you with your energy and all the stuff," you know, like the guides were just talking to me about. Like, I didn't even connect the dots. I just thought it was, you know, fucking, I don't know where I was, you know? And she just
Wow.
walked up behind me and she like gave me a hug from behind, which again
Mm.
made no sense. And as soon as she did that, this box opened in front of me. It was like golden light. It was like shimmering. And I never seen anything like that. It was crystal clear. It was huge. It was like a huge picture frame of golden shimmering liquid light. And
Mm.
I was like, what the hell am I looking at? And then she let
Mm.
me go, and I was like, boom, went right through it. And
Wow.
that's why she was hugging me. I didn't understand. She was holding me because this thing was like sucking us through. She just like
Yeah.
let me go, and I go right through it, and I'm flying through this tube of light. I got like, I don't know, man. It was the craziest experience. Like it felt like a vacuum cleaner, and it felt like Star Trek when they're like in warp or something, you know? Like it
Yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah,
all this
yeah, yeah.
at once, but like you could physically feel it. And I was
Wow.
like flying through space, man, in this tube of
Mm.
light. And I was
Mm.
like, it's funny because I hadn't seen a lot of that kind of sci-fi until just recently. Now I'm like, I'm watching all the stuff. But at that time, I hadn't really seen it, so I hadn't, I didn't even know what I was experiencing, you know.
Mm.
And it went on for like, felt like a while, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you know, which flying through a tube of light feels like forever.
Mm.
And
I
and then
don't
it
know.
stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like so long. And then
Mm.
it like stopped, and there was like these beams of light around me, and they were like working on me, and they were huge. They're probably double my size.
Mm.
And they were so bright I couldn't see their faces really, and I was like, is this really happening? And they're like, yes, this is happening. And it like scared the
Mm.
shit out of me. I was like, oh, and then I was back on my couch and I was like shaking, you know.
Wow.
As soon as I got scared, it was like, it was over. I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Just back on the
Yeah.
couch.
Wow.
And, I was like, maybe I had a seizure, maybe I had a stroke, maybe I'm losing my mind, like all the excuses of like, this can't be real.
Yeah.
There's just no way that happened. We're
Yeah.
there. And then, my partner at the time, she was taken like 3 days later,
Wow.
and then a couple other people I know all at once. And this is about 6 months before the
Yeah.
pandemic. And so I was like, okay, this is definitely happening now. So I'm not crazy,
Hmm.
but like, we just all kept it secret. We're just like, I can't let my investors find out about this, like I
Yeah.
can't tell anybody because, like we should just like not say anything.
Yeah.
But that started everything. That started the search, and then I learned to channel because I just wanted to talk to these beings. And I could
Yeah.
sort of see them when I meditate and I could sort of talk to them, but I was like, what if I could really talk to them? And I started seeing all kinds of stuff. And I didn't like that. And so I went back to the lady that told me this was going to happen. I'm like, it happened. Like
Mm.
what the hell did you do to me? And she's like, I didn't do anything. It's not going to stop. Um, but there's a place you can go where they can teach you how to turn it off and turn it on.
Mm. Mm.
So you don't have to keep experiencing this and to control it and
This
to
was
really understand
this
what's
was
going
the
on. Yeah,
this
so
was the
that's the
place
place,
with the
like the
pyramids.
pyramid and all this crazy stuff. So I went to this sort of mystery school. Um,
Wow.
and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was like 10 days
Mm.
where they taught us everything, how to control our energy. There's other students that were having similar experiences as me. So we could all like compare notes, and it turned out we're all sort of experiencing different things. Mine was what I thought was about aliens, and it had some aspect of that, let's say higher dimensional beings, but um, people were having crazy experiences anyways in all different ways.
Mm.
So it was very cool to be in that environment. And then they taught us how to travel out of our body and astral travel and to channel. The class was called in-depth channeling. So we became really good channelers
Wow.
of energy, of information, visually, all the different ways.
Yeah.
And so that really helped to talk to my guides. And then when stuff like weird was happening, I just, I knew how to get rid of it. Like, nah, get out of
Wow.
here. So like, so all that evolved into a really refined sort of practice to like meet um, these higher beings. There's all kinds of stuff
Mm.
going on. You can channel grandma, and it's very close by. And there's these astral worlds are can be a little sketchy in some ways because there's
Mm.
different aspects of them.
Lower,
And then
middle. Yeah.
yeah, it's like Earth. It's a beautiful place. You live in a great city. There's great people. You go to the bad neighborhood. There might be some people that are a little dangerous. Sort of like that in the
100%.
astral. It's not about good or bad. It's just still sort of mixed. It's still under the veil, like here.
Mm.
Um, but as you punch higher and higher and higher, you start going up towards, ascended masters and archangels and your higher self and your oversoul and God. You
Mm.
can connect with all those energies
Mm.
and bring through information. Which
Mm.
is interpreted by you, in the best way that your mind and your body can handle it. Um,
Mm.
so you're the filter. You're giving it to an expression, but you can sort of get the gist of what's going on,
Mm.
and um, it's really beautiful. So I did that all for me to try, you know, and then it was like, man, other people should experience this, like I see it's not being really taught anywhere. There's lots of spiritual people all over, and they're doing ceremony, they're doing ayahuasca, they're doing all these drugs, doing all this stuff, and it's like, oh, it's all good, dude. But you know, um, to be have controlled, to have a controlled way to connect whenever you
Mm.
want, to no
Mm.
substances,
Mm.
to do what you want to see, to know the difference between things that are lying to you and not, things that are good and maybe not so great.
Your embodied essence.
Yeah, and then to body your own soul and to expand yourself out to this world in a healthy
Mm.
way. That's
Mm.
not obsessive. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, where's that being taught, man? Right?
Mm.
So, like, that was the thing that I started to realize. It's like, it's so rare, everyone's sort of getting a sliver, but if you know how to connect correctly, you can get the whole thing.
Mm.
Because Because they'll tell you, your guides want you to do well.
Yeah.
Your higher self wants you to succeed in life, in everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want you to walk whatever your path is.
Mm.
They want you to have grace. They don't want you to go on the struggle bus unless you need that to do some character development. But after that, if it's just a pattern, they want that to end. You
Mm.
know, because they don't want anything to get in your way. You know what I mean? So it's
Mm.
like you're so unconditionally loved, so supported. It's so amazing. It's all there. But it's like we have the Wi-Fi off. So we can't talk to them. We can't chat with them. They want to chat. They're right there.
That
You know what I mean?
Wi-Fi's coming online right now. The more
The
the more we
push
go through this process.
away. The energy is pushing people to like say enough is enough, and they turn
Mm.
the light switch on.
Mm.
But you can turn it on tomorrow if you feel like it. Just
Mm.
ask.
Mm.
Ask God to come through and talk to you. Ask your guidance team to speak with you. Ask to clear out all the stuff in your life that doesn't serve you
Mm.
anymore.
Mm.
Ask to surrender to your higher self, to
Mm.
your essence, your spark of life, your spirit, your soul.
Yeah.
Surrender to that, and
Yeah.
then ask your soul to surrender to God. Let them do the work. Whole thing,
Yeah.
like you can have it all, really, in some way. But it's a permission-based universe. You don't ask, you don't get.
Mm.
Right? The higher realms will never intervene, because it's free will. They
Yeah.
want you to have your experience. So an
Yeah.
angel's not going to show up and slap you around and be like, "Wake up, kid." They're not going to do that. They're going to let you ask first. When you call that angel and ask them to come slap you around, maybe they will, right? Like,
Hit me on the butt. Get me on the butt, baby.
yeah,
Listen.
if you ask for a cosmic slapdown, you will probably get one. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, but you have
Can
to ask.
you have to ask? Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
Can we do round two at another time? Because this is
yeah,
profoundly beautiful. We're at an hour and a half,
yeah. Let's
and I
end it
think
now.
but there's still more to discuss at another stage. Like for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now, this is this is beautiful. And
Sounds
I want to say thank you, Adrian. We could go on for hours. We really
keep going.
could, but I think
Yeah,
we'll do another session. And from my heart to yours, lots of love, my brother. There's more to discuss here.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
giving me
Adrian.
the space. All right, you have a great one.
You too, my brother.